5:05. And we have, I guess we should do a roll call. Carolyn Coffey here.
Steve Brown.
Linda Giacomo.
Sarah Pease.
Catherine O'Callahan.
Elaine Breslow.
Catherine Harvey.
And Mary Lou Lawrence is hopping on as we speak. We'll just get her to say her name.
Did you sign in?
Megan James.
No, Megan Bridzi.
Oh.
You're muted, Megan.
I said my name.
Okay.
We just didn't hear it.
Yeah.
I can say it again. Megan.
And Mary Lou Lawrence. Okay, we just had the one item on the agenda, and then any other business afterwards, and that was when we had our trustee meeting last week. Megan James brought up that she wanted to do Christmas decorations, and we never took a vote on it, and that it was an expense outside of our approved budget. So I wanted to make sure that we had taken a vote before the warrant next month. Megan, if you want to just share a little bit more of the information that you shared with me when we met, and also bring the folks that weren't at the meeting last time up to speed on what it is that you are hoping to do.
Sure. I'm glad everybody could make it. Maybe we should move the meeting to Thursday. So the decision that was made to do the lighting was kind of threefold. The first was that we had talked about it last year, and there was a grand attempt made by Elaine and I, but it wasn't probably quite, the professional level that I think a lot of the Cohasset residents expect when it comes to lighting their municipal buildings. So I knew this year I did want to step it up a little bit, or in the following years. So that was kind of in the back of my mind. We have some additional funds this year. Things like opening on Sundays didn't happen. So there is money in the operating budget. So I do know that I said last time that we have grant funds. We do have grant funds, but Carolyn brought up that we try to spend those last, and she's absolutely right. We try to spend our grant funds last on, we have funds, tucked away for design that we had talked about. So she's absolutely correct in the sense that it's better for us to use our operating budget, which we have plenty of money to do. There's other things that we didn't pay for operationally this year because we've been closed for so long. So this was kind of, so that was another reason that pushed me forward towards investing in some lighting, probably a little bit more than we would have bargained for. And then third was the town gave us a push. So the town is very interested in community driven. They want to dress up the town. I was just in a meeting this morning. Christine was talking about the common tree, and he directed DPW to put additional lights on it this year. He really wants it to shine. Chamber of Commerce is doing trees down the main shopping area. So we're really making an effort. Those are just a few examples, but there's a huge effort being made throughout the departments to decorate the town.
Can I interrupt you for 2 seconds?
Sure.
You need to elevate Mary Lou, or is she with us?
She's here. Her mic's
Okay,
off, and it doesn't
fine.
seem to have.
Yeah, her mic and her video are both off. I just wanted to make sure that she was in if she could be. Sorry,
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
I can
please continue.
unmute her. I just don't know if she'd want me to do. Oh,
No,
what's happening?
that's fine. Go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
That's okay. I just tapped on something I wasn't supposed to. Okay. All right, we're back. So, so those three things, and my last point is what we've talked about since I've started, and what was presented to me since day one is that our goal is to build a new library or have an addition or do a renovation. And my my answer to that has always been, that's great, but we need some buy-in. We need some buy-in from our community. So right now, well, at the time, the perspective of the library was just that we were somewhere to come and get books. And we really wanted to create a space, a demand for the library, for its space, so that when it was time to renovate the library and to, or have a new library, we had some buy-in in the town. And we need to spend a little money to do that. And I recognize that the trustees like to be involved in design. So I do apologize that I moved forward with something that I'm sure that the trustees would have liked to weigh in on. For example, the building committee talked about the Adirondack chairs and what colors they wanted them to be and things like that. I was under a little bit of pressure to sign that contract because it was kind of sign it or we're pretty booked, which I imagine that they are. So, so I will, eat a little crow there. I know the trustees like to weigh in on things like that, but I felt because we had talked about it in the past as something that we wanted to do, our initiative was to get people to recognize the library as an integral part of the community, and that the town manager had asked that we move forward with something like this. I thought it was appropriate to move forward.
I move that we accept the expense based on the explanation that Megan has given.
Are there any questions or comments?
Did we ever get a final budget amount?
For the lights?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or for the whole project, or that project?
Oh, sure. Let me,
I'm sorry,
yes, let
I
me
wasn't
explain
here.
that as well.
Okay.
That's okay. So I contacted Marion Bright, which is a local company outside in Marshfield. They're a family-owned business. They've been doing residential homes and municipal buildings for a couple of years. So they came out and we're doing the lights on the edge of the roof and the bushes out front like we did last year. And then some of the trees on Sawyer, like the smaller trees, we're just doing a wrap. So the first year that you work with them, you have to purchase the lights as well. So you're paying for them to put the lights up, or you're paying for the lights. You're paying for them to put the lights up, take the lights down. They also store the lights because the lights are warranted. So they don't want you holding on to them because they don't want you to step on them and break them. So they keep them, which is great for storage. But it is $3,000 for the first year. Moving forward after that, it's 20% less every year because you're not paying for the lights. Yes.
Elaine?
A quick question. I just, in the event the lights are ours, but we choose to use them a little differently moving forward. Let's say we decide we would really prefer to have the large tree out front be illuminated rather than the small ones or bushes. Would they be able to use the same lights in a different configuration, maybe not on the roof line, just moving forward, so we have a little flexibility to see how it looks this year and decide loved it or let's tweak it a little bit?
Absolutely. So year to year, we can do whatever we like with our lights. And if we want our lights back, that was a question that you had asked the last meeting, Elaine. I checked in with them. If we want the lights back, we get them back as well. So if we decide, we're done with you guys, but we did buy our lights and we'd like to have them, they will give us the lights because we bought them.
Okay, great, thanks.
Do they take the lights back if you end up not wanting them? Or is this a rent? It's not like a rent to own.
No, the reason the bill is so hefty the first year is because we own them. Yeah.
Catherine O'Callahan?
So I'm pleading a little bit of ignorance. So every year it's just 20% less, but we own the lights?
Yes.
So the cost really is installing them and dismantling them?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So in the past, and this is where my ignorance I'm admitting to in advance, what did we do in years past? Did we just, you mentioned we lit the bushes?
Yes, Elaine and I got together last year and we did a fantastic job. But I
You
think the level could be elevated a bit. So that's what we had done in the past, is that Elaine and I worked very hard at putting lights up on just the bushes is all we managed to do.
So
And,
when
and I would
did
just
this
say
new-
that that was also the quality of the lights were not what I would expect these more professional lights themselves to be.
That's correct. These were, Amazon purchased for your home Christmas tree, probably not for outside type lights. The effort and the thought was there.
So with the design, was that a design that you came up with and told them what you wanted done? Or is that something that they kind of came out to the site and said, this is what should happen?
So so they came out to the site and kind of told me the general of how they do things, and what other homes in Cohasset tend to do, especially the more historical homes. And that is what they outlined, because I was trying to stay in tune with a kind of a New England, quaint New England look. That's what we have. That's what we are. And so they came up with a design. I could have said no or change it, or I did ask them to add the trees on the side because we have that story walk there now. And I hope to continue something like that. So to have the trees lit up on the side just to outline the story walk was something that I had thought of. But that's their general. I have a few homes on my street that they've done on Prospect Street in Norwell, if you want to drive by. And that's kind of their MO. They do the kind of the outline of the building.
And as Elaine said, we're not stuck. I mean, I love lit trees. I'm not a huge fan just personally of lit buildings, but I think to have it during COVID, I guess that was my question. Are we doing this to do a big impact this year, or is this something that you kind of think will be the design that everybody will look for going forward?
So I wanted to do kind of a big thing because of COVID and because I knew we had the funds. I'm open to changing it next year. Absolutely. Maybe we decide we don't want to do the roof and we just want to put little lights in the windows, those classy lights in the windows. I do want to move forward having some type of light and wreath or something of that nature at the library. I think it just, it gives us a little community warmth. Just, I just have this memory of coming home from college and driving through my town, Duxbury, and seeing all the lights and feeling really warm and fuzzy. And I want people to have that feeling when they drive by the library so that they associate that feeling with being at the library. We don't need to do a big boom every year. I don't think this is going to be as big a boom as everybody thinks it's going to be. But if
I hope it is for $3,000.
if we see it and we don't all agree that we like it, we can always do something different next year.
Well, the good news is that it's the price, but you're not tied into it necessarily because there's only a 20% discount if you do it every year. So if it's a bust and we decide we just want modifications, we're not really contractually into this for a long haul.
No, we just signed a contract just for this year. I talked to Ted a little bit because he, I think maybe wanted to be a part of it this year and didn't get to be, maybe we decide we don't like the roof lights and we sell our lights over to the rec department so he can do his tree next year. I don't know. But, I don't think we're certainly not stuck with anything.
So next year it would be about $2,400 for them to restrain, whether it's the same exact thing or something different. A 20% discount would be about $2,400 to do it again.
Megan, my last question. Sure. Do you know if any of the other town buildings are doing this?
So I know Town Hall is not because the DPW, so he didn't know about, I talked to him about Marion Bright today. He didn't, Chris didn't really know that there was companies that did this. And the DPW indicated that they're just slammed this year. But he is doing the big tree like I had talked about. Other departments, Nancy had talked about doing it at the senior center, but her building's so far back that it was kind of, a little lackluster for her to do it. Rec's not doing it because we are. I don't know if any other town, police and fire are decorating their buildings this year. They just rented a bucket truck. They're doing it themselves. So it's us, fire, and police.
And we can get the fire and police to do it next year for us.
Maybe.
Megan, Mary Lou is having trouble. She has joined by phone now. Do you see her?
Oh,
And can
I'm
you
sorry.
unmute her?
Let's move her. Oh,
Can you unmute her?
yeah. So she's joined by. I can't
She was
promote her
unable
to
to
panelist,
unmute.
but I can't promote her to a panelist for some reason, but I can allow her to talk. Let's see. Oh, asked to unmute. She's got to unmute on her side.
Okay. I think she can hear us.
Oh, there she is.
Oh,
She's
Hey.
here, so that sounds
Now?
good.
Mary Lou, we can hear you now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Did you have something you wanted to add or ask?
Well, I've been so frenzied trying to join. No, continue the conversation and I'll join in just a minute.
Okay.
Okay. I'm not sure. Did anyone else have anything that they wanted to add? And do you need an encapsulation at all, Mary Lou?
No, my concern is really, I heard something $3,000. And I heard lots of lights on the building. Did I miss any discussion about lighting the trees? Have we talked about any alternatives to lighting the building? Have we talked about the trees?
Which trees, Mary Lou, would you be interested in?
Well, like those two front trees out front. The two front trees in the front.
Flanking the Ripley Road door. The two big trees.
I mean, my personal opinion is that they're very large and that it would almost block the library by lighting them up, making them more substantial.
What the contract involves is lining the building. I think you said last time, Megan, on the Ripley Road side, and is it the Sawyer Street side, and then our parking lot? So 3 sides of the building, or is it just 2 sides of the building?
So it's the roof is just on 2 sides of the building. So it's the main entrance, and then the main parking lot entrance. Does that make sense?
So not the
Like
Sawyer
where the
Street
book
side of
drop
the
off
building.
is?
Yeah, just the Ripley Road side and our parking lot side.
Yes. So
Okay,
just
and
those
then
sides.
the small trees that go down the walkway toward the back parking lot.
Correct.
So that's what this year's plan would entail. And one thing that we said earlier, Mary Lou, that I don't know if you were able to hear, is that that's this year's plan, but we'll own the lights. And if we decide to do something next year, it would be $2,400, and we can use those same lights to do something different.
Can I thought I also understood we were going to be doing some bushes.
Yes, and we're doing the bushes
The
that
front
Elaine,
bushes?
that you and I did last year. So the ones out
Oh,
front
okay.
and the ones on the side.
Gotcha.
And I just have some reluctance, but of course, if everybody else is in favor of it, I just have some reluctance about putting lights all over that building. I don't know if the building, the architecture of the building, it just doesn't sit with me. But if it sits with everyone else, I'm a lonely voice. I think lights in the windows would be lovely.
Well, we can look into that next year. I think, it's a thin string of lights that go kind of on the roof line. I think it's going to be, I hear what you're all saying, that you're reluctant about maybe the amount of it is maybe what I'm hearing from everybody. But I don't think it's going to be as in your face as you think. We're not lining the windows or, anything like that. It's just the thin roof line and one of the entrance, the roof line, and then the entrance kind of arches. It's going to arch there. But I don't think it's going to be as bold as I think people are envisioning, if I'm kind of understanding the temperature of the conversation.
I think it's going to look beautiful. And if you don't try it, you're not going to know what it's going to look like. So, and like you said, next year we can make changes. I mean, this has been a bad year. So I was sticker shock at first, but after that.
I mean, next year, maybe we can see if, the DPW is a little more freer facilities. This year is certainly not the year to be asking either of those groups to do anything extra. So, maybe next year's the work climate's a little different for them and they, can help us out, or police or fire. It's not really the year to be asking other departments for extras. It's just not fair. So, so that could
I
be
agree with
something for
Megan.
next year.
Yeah, I agree with Megan. Let's just give it, we've signed the contract. So let's see how it goes. It may be beautiful and we can change it next year and in any way we want it appears.
I only wonder, are we putting like a menorah anywhere? I mean, it's just, I feel like we're singling out one religion. And is that okay?
That's a
I
great
like the
question.
idea of having a multicultural recognition of the importance of this time period.
That's, I think that's a great discussion. When I was in Randolph, I had a lot of different discussions with folks about, making sure that the library feels like something that's representing them as well. And everybody kind of had a different idea of how they felt about certain things. For example, we had like a festival of trees at the library. So they were all, they were Christmas trees, but they were all decorated with literary items so that you could walk through. And when I spoke with some of the Jewish employees about, do they feel like that is a slight to them? One said yes, and one said no. And we talked about lights outside, and is that strictly, is our lights strictly Christmas, decorating a home? Again, one said yes, one said no. So I'd love to hear what all you have to think about, or what your thoughts are on making sure that we represent everybody and what that might look like.
Well, I will speak up as probably the only Jewish family in Cohasset.
Not true.
And I would say that to me, white lights are non-denominational and they're beautiful and they represent winter, and most religions this time of year have some essence of light, and that's the most important thing, whether you're talking about, Islam or, Persian culture or Jewish culture or, Christianity. Wintertime and lights go hand in hand. So to me, the white lights to me are perfect and beautiful and wonderful. I will say, and I love wreaths, and I think they looked beautiful on the doors last year, but I would say that's also leaning more toward making a statement. And if we were to do that, which I don't think anybody would have any issue with, I would think that it would be nice to balance that with, something representing, just being mindful of other holidays at this time of year. And I think that would be important. I just know, when my kids were little, they would go around and it's like, okay, that's great. And that's really pretty. Where's the menorah? And again, there aren't that many beautiful things that one might say represents that. But I think, again, if we're going to stick with white lights, we could do something with white lights and a menorah. And if there are any other I'm less versed in other religions, but if there's something else that would be, you know, just even, I don't know, on the doors, maybe we decorate our wreaths with different things on them, like you did with the trees and the literary books or something. I don't know.
I agree with Elaine about the white lights being fairly non-denominational or generally sort of viewed that way, and lights, particularly white lights, being more viewed as can be viewed more broadly as a winter tradition. I also had the same impulse about the wreaths. I do think that wreaths are a little bit more symbolic and a little bit more emblematic, you know, more in the vein of a Christmas tree. I mean, my impulse would be to keep everything neutral and avoid symbols across the board, because as soon as you do one or two, there's always something you're going to leave out. And I think it keeps you on firmer ground and more universal the more neutral you are as a public building. That would be my 2 cents. Again, just take it for however, you know, however it's useful.
Well,
I agree with you.
maybe just forget the wreaths and we're just gonna carry it with the lights this year.
I agree with all that points. I think also COVID has really taught us that as a community, we need to come together. And what a perfect way to celebrate unity than honoring everybody's celebrations and traditions. And I think it's a time that, you know, maybe that's what our message is that, you know, we're all in this together. And this is a time that we need to also celebrate everybody and everything and every type of tradition. So I do feel like wreaths do skew in the way of kind of Christmas traditions. But I do feel maybe you could be creative and maybe a craft project of something that is more emblematic of unity.
Yep, I agree. I think, so in my previous position, we kind of stayed away from, you know, it was kind of sad, but like we stayed away from Black History Month and Women's History Month because there was always a History Month that maybe we were forgetting, or there's a lot of cultures that share a month. And it kind of got to the point there that it was better that we celebrated none instead of trying to get them all. It was that's kind of a sad thing. So I think, you know, we could try to create, you know, something that's very neutral and still decorative and still unifying for, I don't know, the window decor or something like that if we decide.
What do people feel like what, when you think of the peace sign, the peace symbol, what does that, like, what do you think of when you see that? Does that, you know, is that neutral? Is that a good message? Is that, I mean, to me, it's like almost unifying. I don't know. I mean, it doesn't have to be a religious symbol to be unifying. And it doesn't have to include all, if we can't, in all practicality, include all religious symbols, then, and again, it is a public building. I think the winter theme is great. And then so winter with peace, winter with unity, winter with just some of those things. I don't know.
Even something like the, you know, something to do with the lighthouse, just because that incorporates Cohasset and it's not, you know, it represents Cohasset. Do something like that.
I would think all the other public buildings are in the same position. So maybe that's just a talk, you know, through town hall and through, you know, the schools and things, and to see what everybody's doing. You know, maybe there can be one banner or symbol for all of our public buildings that brings us together, you know, promotes peace and harmony and all of those traits that we're trying to aim for.
Yeah, Megan, as you work with the other folks, you could suggest a peace symbol.
Sure.
We have a motion on the floor to approve the $3,100. And Megan, would that come out of the supply line?
So I'm going to go ahead and say it's going to come out of the appropriated municipal budget.
and we'll figure that out later.
So kind of at the end of the year, it's all about the bottom line anyways. So we'll probably take it out of supplies. Yes, let's just say supplies.
Okay. So we'll just fine tune the motion on the floor to say that. Is there a second for that?
Second.
Is there any more discussion? And if not, we'll do a roll call vote. Carolyn Coffey, aye. Linda Giacomo,
Aye.
Sarah Pease,
Aye.
Catherine Harvey,
Aye.
Steve Brown,
Aye.
Catherine O'Callahan,
Aye.
Elaine Breslow,
Aye.
Megan Brinzy,
Aye.
Mary Lou Lawrence.
Aye. Aye.
There we go. The ayes have it. Thank you all for getting together and talking about this. We also, had on the agenda another item, and Catherine Harvey brought something to my attention today. If you want to take the floor, Catherine.
Sure. We discussed at the last meeting, well, I think it was Steve's very generous impulse and an idea that took hold, which was that we as trustees would go in together to purchase some of the Friends Christmas ornaments with the Joanne Chittick portrait of the library painted on the inside. And so Megan very helpfully generated a list of 6 town employees and/or departments who we would then give the ornaments to as gifts from the library. And that would be sponsored by us personally as trustees. So that's 6 ornaments. And I'll just give you the list that Megan gave to me, which was Chris Senior, HR Director Miriam Johnson, and at facilities, Mark Kelly and Nick Berardi, Ron Menard, who's the IT guy, and Nicole Belaski, is that right? Belashi, at Safe Harbor. As it happens, Linda, with her incredible sales skills, sold out all of the others. So this would be at last the sellout that we've been working toward these many years. So the Friends are delighted and thank the trustees. And so that comes to a total of $240 divided by the 9 of us, $27 a piece gets us there. And I would be happy to drive around and pick up checks. I also have Venmo. So let me know what your preference is, and I will come and fetch cash or checks or whatever, and then I can write one check on from all of us to the Friends.
Make the checks out to you, Catherine.
Yes, please. I think that would be the easiest.
Can
And
you
then the Friends expressed a preference to have one check from the trustees, so I thought that would be the easiest.
Can you send
You
us
email us your Venmo?
Yes, I will circulate my Venmo by email. That's probably the easiest way to do it.
That'd be great. Thank you.
I know those of us who have kids who are like between the ages of 13 and 30 all have Venmo, and the rest of us maybe not. So
that's fine. And let me just ask, was anyone able to spend any time on that library design forum yesterday?
No.
I went.
I emailed Gail because she sent us a link for the recordings of for the library thing. Yeah, sorry, 2 different things.
Yeah, I got I got the links to go back to it, but I was unable to do anything. Just briefly, did you find it helpful, Megan?
I did. I thought it was interesting. So I think it didn't throw me, but I think what kind of took me back the most was they were talking about moving forward, designing libraries in a flexible way, which we've talked about, but they were talking about designing libraries in a flexible way in case we have another pandemic.
Oh.
And I was like, what? No, we're not having another one for another 40 years, right? Like, so libraries in
so was that the focus? Was that the focus of the webinar then?
Yeah, so it
Wow.
was, what you could do now and fairly inexpensively, which I think we either doing or we've kind of thought about it. Just for an example, Sharon and I have talked about doing story hour in the spring in kind of that middle courtyard and getting like tree stumps for the kids to sit on or something like that. So just, creative, inexpensive ideas to expand services safely. A lot of it talked about actually, Catherine, I thought of you about internet and, not as much maybe in Cohasset, but there's a lot of communities where kids having to go remote was a very big deal, and how the libraries stepped in. Like I don't know if this was Brockton Library, but the town of Brockton, saddled up their school buses with Wi-Fi and parked around town. So the school
That's
buses
so
were a symbol.
cute.
Yeah, they
Wow.
were a symbol of kind of connectivity. So, we talked about, making sure your library had hotspots to be able to circulate. We have 2 right now. We're starting to talk about maybe gathering some more, because I don't think the connectivity maybe in Cohasset is that great. That I actually didn't know until the pandemic happened that Cohasset as a town just is kind of just an offshoot and has a little trouble with the internet. So, investing in that, making sure that your internet's going out into your parking lot so people can utilize that space. One thing they talked about is designing libraries. I don't know if any of you have been to the galley in Situate, how they have that window that kind of opens up in the front and the indoor-outdoor space. So libraries are putting those in so that they can kind of open their doors a little more safely. The speaker was the director of the Sacramento Public Libraries. And so it was a little bit, there were some things there that maybe didn't compare directly to Cohasset, but there were some really interesting ideas and kind of just refreshed me a little bit to keep thinking about being innovative and how we can keep moving forward in a safe way.
Thank you. That's great. Does anyone else have anything else that they would like to add before we adjourn?
Just real quick, Megan, I hope that you know how much we all appreciate all your efforts, all your creativity. We're just curious beings, and so we ask a lot of questions, and we have such confidence in you and hope that this discussion hasn't put you off in any way in thinking that we're not so thoroughly pleased with so much of what you do.
Thank you. I'm glad that you're interested and ask questions. I come from somewhere that, no one, I went to trustees meetings and everybody just stared at me and went, okay, and left. And, while, I could just kind of, I guess, do what I wanted, but there's a downside to that. And it's that you don't get all the extra ideas. You don't get the collaboration. You don't get the feel from the people who live in the town, who are the people that I serve. So, I like that you ask questions. I like that you follow up on things. I want you to be involved. So I'm glad that we had this meeting so that, everyone feels included. I never meant to make anybody feel like I didn't care what people thought. I just, I also wanted, there's a balance between that and making sure that, business gets taken care of as well. But I wouldn't change this group. I'm glad that you guys ask questions and want to know what's going on and be a part of things. So thank you.
We
Well,
appreciate
thank you for
it.
everything. Sorry, go ahead.
We appreciate you.
That we do. That we do. Love the energy, enthusiasm. So if no one has anything else, can I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Is there a second? Sarah's seconding. All in favor? I don't think we need to do a
Aye.
roll call for this.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you guys so much for making time available, and sorry about my snafu with forgetting to post the meeting. Bronwyn has gotten me out of my out of my habits, and so I appreciate you being flexible. Thank you. You do too good a job for us, Bronwyn. You're making
Everyone
us
have a
rusty.
wonderful Thanksgiving.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yes,
same
you too.
too.
Thank you
Nice,
too.
nice.